Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Jackson. I am JCU's Global Experience Advisor. We apologize for the slow start and the delay, just having to get all set up. Before we begin, I'm just going to share this screen here. Just if you are able to, we'd really appreciate if you could scan the QR code just to check in to show that you attended today's session. If you check in, you will be able to go into the draw to win a $50 gift card as a thank you for attending. We're just a few minutes shy of 2, so we'll just wait a little bit more to see if any other students arrive. Just give me a quick second. Alrighty, so it has now hit 2 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I am going to probably start today's session. Thank you very much for attending. As I said before, my name is Jackson. I am JCU's Global Experience Advisor. If you are interested in studying overseas as part of your degree in any capacity, I will be here to help you. So today's presentation is going to go over every global experience opportunity that you can take as a JCU student. We'll break down each program individually and what each program entails. I'll provide you a little bit more information about program eligibility criteria, as well as our recommendations on the application process and when you should start thinking about these programs. And then near the end, we will also go over a funding breakdown so you can understand the total costs that are involved. With today's presentation, I have 2 monitors at the moment, so I will do my best to engage with you here on Zoom, if at all possible. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to put something in the chat. I have it open on the side here, and I will do my best to address that question when I can. If you would like to ask a question with your microphone, you're more than welcome to do so. If you could just raise your hand with the reaction command, and I will try my best to make sure I engage with you there. Additionally, today's presentation is going to be recorded, and we will endeavor to have a copy of this uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you are afraid of missing out of something, or if you want to refer back to certain pieces of information in the future, you will be welcome to access the recording. And also at any point, if my microphone cuts out, if I'm going too fast or you need me to readdress something, please just put that in the chat and I will do my best. Okie dokie. So going to share our new screen. Alrighty. And can anyone just very quickly for me just type in the chat whether or not you can see this presentation? It should have a logo of James Cook University, just to make sure that everything is working all right on my end. Oh, thank you, Lauren. Very much appreciate it. And Annalise, perfect. Alrighty. So let us begin. Here we go. Alrighty, so at JCU, we like to look at global experiences as your opportunity to see the world. So when you are looking at a global experience, not only is it going to be an element of your study, but it is your opportunity to travel beyond what you potentially would have been capable to do by yourself. So, welcome once again to JCU Study Overseas with Global Experience seminar. We will go through everything that you need to know if you are interested in studying overseas as a global student. So, whether you've been planning your international experience for a long time or your global dreams are just starting, the JCU Global Experience team is here to help you get started. There are many global opportunities available at JCU for students to take advantage of. So you can study a semester or a full year abroad at one of our partner universities on an outbound exchange program. You can complete a trimester or two at the JCU Singapore campus on an intercampus exchange program. You are eligible to take short electives overseas during the university breaks. You can receive a $3,000 grant from the Australian government and go on a study tour or placement in the Indo-Pacific as part of an NCP program. And if you are a top performing student, you might be eligible to receive a prestigious international scholarship to fully fund your studies overseas. So let's explore everything in more detail, and we'll be starting with the outbound exchange programs. So, if you are in an eligible undergraduate program at JCU, so that is a bachelor's degree, then you could look at completing a semester or a whole year overseas as an exchange student. As an exchange student, you will study at one of JCU's partner universities anywhere in the world, and you'll receive credit back to your course. So whatever you study on an exchange will come back to your degree here at JCU. You can go on an exchange as soon as you've successfully completed at least 1 year of full-time study or the equivalent of 24 credit points and have maintained a good GPA. And the minimum GPA requirement to go on an exchange is 4.5, which for context is pass. So if you pass all of your subjects across the board, you will meet the eligibility criteria. If you get at least 1 grade higher than a pass overall, you'll be perfect. There will be no concerns about you not meeting the criteria. To go on the exchange, you'll need to have approval for credit from the college, which we help you pursue. And while on an exchange, you will study roughly 3 to 4 subjects per exchange semester, or as equivalent as possible to a full-time study load here at JCU. Keep in mind that some partner universities have slightly different ways of determining subject load. You might find that there are some partners where you might study 5 or 6 subjects, but the workload itself is actually similar to only 4 subjects here. For context, in the United States, they sometimes treat classes as full courses. So you might be enrolled in a subject here at JCU and you had to register for a maybe like a lecture, a practical, and a placement component, where those are considered classes in one whole subject. A partner university in the US or somewhere else might consider them all individual courses you have to enroll in. So while it may seem that you're enrolling in a lot of units overseas, the actual workload is very similar to what you would study here at JCU. JCU has partner universities all over the world that you can apply to as an exchange student. All of these institutions teach in English, and offer an array of subjects for you to pick from. So if you are concerned about needing to know the language to study overseas, that is not needed at all. Everything is taught in English. Some courses at our partner universities are taught in their native language. So if you would like to study them, you would need to show some evidence of language proficiency. But as a whole, as long as you meet English language requirements, which you all should because you're studying here at JCU, you will have no difficulty studying overseas. One thing you can do if you're interested is you can take advantage of some of these partner universities' language studies courses. So if you want to pick up another language while you're overseas or start your journey in becoming fluent in another language, you can study at these universities and do their intensive language programs. And in a lot of cases, you'll get credit towards your degree for that as well. But in terms of what you can study on exchange, you can pretty much do anything as long as your course allows it. So not only can you study what you need to as part of your degree, you can have some fun on exchange. That's the benefit to it. So I thought I'd give you just a few facts of some fun subjects that students have studied in the past. And these are all subjects that students got credit to in their degrees. So we had one student who went to Norway and they studied the history of the Vikings. We had a student go to Hawaii and they studied marine and volcanic activity. And then a second component of that course was they had to go diving off the Hawaiian reefs. And then we had some students who went to Japan who studied business technologies, and then they got to relax in a traditional Japanese hot spring at the end of it. So it was a pretty fun experience overall. But many more experiences will await you. And if you're looking for an unforgettable adventure or a new perspective on studying and an opportunity to see the world, an exchange program is exactly what you need. So right here, this is a list of all of our locations that we have partner universities with. I will preface with you now that this information is correct as of today. However, there is a strong chance that some of these locations may be removed by the time you're thinking of going on an exchange. The reason for that is we have agreements that are written in a written contract between a lot of these partner universities, and they have an expiration date, so we can't hang on to them forever. So unfortunately, there may be a possibility that some of these locations may disappear, but majority of them will still be offered for you when you're ready to go on an exchange. If you're curious about what you can experience on an exchange, here's just a fun little slideshow of some of the photos our partner universities have provided to us. Now, I am 90% sure that most of these are Shutterstock images. However, the essence is still the same, that these are experiences that you will be able to take on an exchange. And there's many more opportunities awaiting for you. So we're just going to quickly move on from Outbound Exchange. Did anybody have any questions at the moment? We can stop for questions after each segment, or I'm more than happy to save questions for the end. That's okay. We will continue as in, if you've got questions, put them in the chat and we'll address them as we go. So moving on, not only does JCU have partner universities all over the world, but we also have another campus based in Singapore. So if you're at all familiar with JCU, you'll know that we have two main Australian campuses, Cairns and Townsville. And then the JCU Singapore campus is another aspect of our university, but will slowly be integrating more actively with us sometime soon. What that means essentially is not only do you have the option to study in Townsville or Cairns or even online, you will eventually reach a point where you will be able to study at the Singapore campus if you would like to. As an intercampus exchange student, you can spend a trimester or two there to continue your studies. And as JCU Australia and Singapore are on the same academic calendar, you will return just in time to continue your studies. So if you are in a degree that is offered in the trimester model, how it would work is you could go on an intercampus exchange in trimester 1 and trimester 2, and then you'll be back in time to start trimester 3 at JCU, and it'll be like you've missed nothing. So you'll not only be getting a really fun exchange experience, but it will work with your degree progression without impacting it too negatively. There are a variety of study areas that can be studied at the Singapore campus. So unlike an exchange, which can pretty much be molded to suit your study areas and your degrees, JCU Singapore does have a smaller list of eligible study areas. The easiest way to tell if you may be eligible is if you are looking to, if your subject is offered in JCU Australia, if it also has a Singapore offering, there's a very high chance that you can pursue an intercampus exchange. I know off the top of my head, Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of Commerce students are definitely eligible to go overseas, Bachelor of Arts and some Bachelor of Science students, and we're working on finalizing a further list. But Singapore is a great location for students in a course offered in trimesters. So the dates work better for you and is better for students who want a more structured program with the flexibility of experiencing a diverse culture and a really awesome location. Another thing to be aware of with Singapore is it has stricter visa requirements than you might be familiar with. So if you attend Singapore as an intercampus exchange student, you have to attend campus a minimum of 5 days a week, so pretty much every day, and you have to be on campus for at least 3 hours every day. And the way that they monitor that is when you arrive as part of international orientation, they scan your finger, and that is how you get into all of their facilities. So in order to study at the Singapore campus, you have to follow these rules. You can't not miss a day because you're feeling unwell. There are, contingencies and there are special considerations where necessary, but if you are going to study on the Singapore campus, you are committing to actively studying at that institution. Okay, perfect. But an international experience doesn't have to be for a full study period. So some of you might be thinking, I understand that people have jobs, people have families. It might not be feasible for you to disappear for 6 months to go and study. You might want a global experience, but you want it on a much shorter time frame. So that is where these international short study programs come into, which allows you to complete an elective in the January or July university breaks. Those are the dates that are reflected in the traditional semester model. So where, you start in February, go to sort of, June, then there's about a month off, and then you're back for semester 2, and then semester 2 finishes around, late November, early December, and then doesn't start up again until February. So if you're free during those break periods, you may be eligible to complete an elective during the holiday break. You may also be wondering, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to use my holiday, my personal time away from university to do more study? What's the benefit to it? Well, with the international electives, they are treated very similarly to JCU's intensive subjects, which for those of you unfamiliar, not only does JCU have the traditional semester model, which is study period 1 and 2, we also have the trimester models 1, 2, and 3. We also offer intensive periods, which happen during the middle of the year and the end of the year and some at the beginning as well. Some of your courses may have it as a requirement that you have to do a subject in an intensive period, but the benefit to studying in an intensive means that you can potentially lighten your load in a further down the line. So if I'm going to use an example, if you're in the traditional semester model, I'm just going to use that as the general example moving forward, you would normally study 4 subjects in the beginning of the year and 4 in the second half of the year, and that would be 8 subjects a year. And that would be considered full-time. But say you want to do an intensive elective. Well, you could do that in the beginning of the year, and now you only have 7 subjects left to do for a given year. So you could lighten your load in the beginning of the year or the second half of the year, and your progression isn't impacted at all. You're still full-time, you're still doing 8 subjects. So it's an excellent opportunity if you are feeling that 4 subjects is a bit overwhelming and you just want to lighten the load a little bit. An intensive elective can do that for you. So with that, we have agreements with several international providers, which offer our students the chance to participate in these short study opportunities all over the world. If you have a free elective as part of your course structure and permission from your course coordinator, you can participate in these programs. The easiest way to determine if you have a free elective is when you go to enroll in your eStudent. If you have an option line and it lets you select any subject from any discipline, that's considered a free elective. So if you have that as part of your degree, you are instantly eligible to participate in these programs. Locations and subjects on offer for these programs can differ. They're always changing because they're not set by JCU. We just handle the applications and the administration side, whereas there's another company that actually runs these programs for us. But you're always more than welcome to reach out to our team to figure out which program is right for you and whether or not it's something that you can pursue. For a little bit of context, we had a bunch of students go out in the January period for these programs. A majority of them were Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery students. So we had two go to Italy. They studied Italian art and power. That's coming back to credit to their degree. One went to Costa Rica and studied climate change and ecology. That's going back to her degree. One went to New Zealand and studied the Maori language. We had a Bachelor of Business student go to Japan and he studied anime and popular culture, and that's getting credited back to their degree. So realistically, you can pick the location that's most interesting to you and the subject that just tickles your brain. Like, it doesn't have to be actually what's related to your degree. You're more than welcome to select a subject that will complement your discipline and your study area. But if you just want the opportunity to do something fun and take the pressure off, these are where it's encouraged that you pursue these as opportunities. Alrighty, moving on to this. While studying at JCU, you might come across what's referred to as a New Colombo Plan program, or NCP for short. An NCP trip is funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and aims to lift knowledge of the Indo-Pacific for university students. JCU runs NCP trips all throughout the year and they cover a variety of disciplines. Some programs can be run in a core subject of your degree, whereas others are open to any student with a free elective. If you apply for an NCP program, you'll go off on an unforgettable experience with a group of other students. So unlike the three programs we've just discussed earlier, which are normally self-paced, you apply by yourself. If two students apply for the same program, then that's great, you'll have a buddy. But for the most part, it is all self-paced. It's your responsibility to complete the details, the application, and be responsible for your own travel and studies while you're over there. Whereas with an NCP trip, you'll be going with a group of other students in a similar discipline to you, or just a group of students that's studying the same subject. So if you have concerns about studying overseas by yourself, an NCP trip might be a better option for you. The best part about an NCP trip, however, and this is something I'm going to slow down and reiterate because normally when I tell students this, their eyebrows raise, and I can't see your guys' faces, but I'm assuming it's going to happen. So the best part about an NCP trip is you can receive a $3,000 grant from the government. Again, I'm going to say that again. $3,000 of free money from the Australian government to help fund your participation in the program. It is paid directly to your bank account, and you are eligible to receive up to 2 grants for 2 trips. So if you want to participate in as many NCP trips as possible, you are more than welcome to, but you can only get the grant twice. As you can imagine, because it is a government grant, there are a few eligibility criteria that need to be met in order to receive the grant. And this is where I'm going to put another disclaimer to say that this is information that is accurate as of now. However, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade have disclosed that they are changing this. We just don't know when. So for the time being, we are still going to go off of the current rules. But with that, the current rules state that in order to receive the grant, you have to be an Australian citizen and you have to be deferring your fees to HECS with a Commonwealth supported place. Additionally, you have to meet the age requirements, which as of right now is 18 to 28 for non-Indigenous students. And I currently believe there is no minimum and maximum threshold for Indigenous students. Mature age students and international students can also participate in NCP programs, but won't be eligible for a grant and will need to be self-funded. So essentially what that will mean is whatever the total cost of the program is, you will have to pay for it in full, whereas the students receiving the grant will only have to pay the excess minus the $3,000. Some things to note here, however, is that if more than 70% of students participating in a grant in a program receive the grant, then you are eligible to receive the grant if you are an Australian mature age student. In order to be eligible, you just have to have completed 12 credit points, which is normally just one semester. And you need to have either the core subject that the program is being run in your degree structure, or have the ability to take it as a free elective. That's pretty much that. That information is repeated twice. I've never noticed that. You can have an array of experiences on an NCP trip, and they are all conducted within the Indo-Pacific. So that is primarily these locations here. And here are some of the programs that you can do that are regularly run here at JCU. So you can do archaeological digs in Laos as part of the Bachelor of Arts Archaeology. There are tourism and sustainability visits in Indonesia as part of the Bachelor of Business. Health science placements are conducted in Thailand, so that includes the Bachelor of Nursing, as well as sports and exercise science. And then there are zoological and tropical field trips in Borneo as part of the Bachelor of Science, Zoology and Ecology. There are a ton of different programs as well, including marine dives in Thailand as part of the marine biology and marine science streams. There are occasionally educational placements in Cambodia. There's a China placement happening for our chemistry students very shortly. Medicine students are going to Fiji for their placement. So as you can imagine, there's a ton of opportunities available and many different and diverse programs that you can participate in. The biggest disclaimer I will provide, however, is that if it is a placement component, you won't be able to do that as part of a free elective, but any research or study tour that comes your way that you meet the criteria for, you are more than welcome to apply. And many more. And then lastly, the final Global Experience program is an exclusive international scholarship available for Australia's top performing university students. The new Colombo Plan Scholarship rewards approximately 120 Australian university students each year with a fully funded exchange, language training, and internship in a country in the Indo-Pacific. If you're wondering how much that is, each student is eligible to receive up to $80,000. So that money that is given to you that does not need to be paid back will fund your full semester of study overseas, your language training to ensure that you become fluent in the language, and an internship, as well as additional allowances and aspects of the scholarship will be taken into consideration. This is Australia's most prestigious international education scholarship. I won't sugarcoat it. There's nothing that rivals this. If you receive this scholarship, it will be a game changer for you in terms of international study. I said that normally 120 students get it. Last year, well, this year's round, the students who were awarded it at the end of last year, they gave it to about 150 because it was their 10th year anniversary. So I don't know if that number will continue, but thankfully 2 JCU students were included in that scholarship round. So 2 of our students, a Bachelor of Science Marine Biology student and a Bachelor of Marine Science student, will be going to Fiji and the Maldives, respectively, to continue their studies in a more active environment that's specific to their specializations. As you can imagine, this scholarship, which gives a lot of money, would have some pretty strict eligibility criteria. So, in order to be eligible, you need to have a minimum GPA of 6.0. And to put that into perspective, the highest GPA that you can achieve at JCU is a 7. So pretty much only the top performing students at the university will be considered to apply for this scholarship. You have to have successfully completed 24 credit points within the current course of admission. So by the time you are considered eligible, it'll be the beginning of your second year. So in order to really ensure that you meet the eligibility criteria, you would need to be a top performer within the first year of your degree. And you have to be admitted to an eligible undergraduate degree. And I'm just going to take a quick moment to say, while most of these programs are designed specifically for undergraduate students, that isn't to say that postgraduate students are not eligible for any of these programs. The issue with postgraduate programs is that by the time that you would traditionally meet the eligibility criteria, you would already be in the second half of your final year, because most postgraduate degrees are 2 years. By the time you would be looking to go on an exchange, you would already be wrapping up your final subjects. So it's very hard to get postgrad students on some sort of global experience. But I assure you, we are working on new opportunities to make that happen. If I was to guess as to what the transition would be, I would probably say that postgraduate students would be encouraged to pursue an intercampus exchange to Singapore, or New Colombo Plan mobility programs. I think that is the best way for you guys to pursue global studies while ensuring that you are not negatively impacted in your course progression. So I thought I'd take a moment just to address that there, because I know I've had inquiries from postgrad students in the past, and we've unfortunately just haven't really been able to promote actively towards them. Just quickly jumping back to the application process for the New Colombo Plan Scholarship. So it's pretty rigorous. You can't just be nominated by the university and get it. What essentially will happen is in the next few months, our team will run a report to identify all of the students that meet the initial eligibility criteria and who are in eligible courses. We would then invite you to submit an expression of interest if you are interested in going through with this program and applying. You would then meet with our team, myself and the Global Experience Manager, for an informal interview just for us to get an understanding of who you are, why you want to pursue this as a scholarship, and what you want out of it. Once we have determined our criteria, so we would then narrow it down from there, we would then nominate you to the New Colombo Plan team to say that we are putting you forward as nominees. You would then apply for the scholarship by the set deadline. And then there are several application rounds after that. So you would do sort of a written application. And then if that proceeds, you would then go through to interviews with the New Colombo Plan team. And then after interviews, you would then be notified in November whether you were successful or not, and then be awarded the scholarship in December. And then you would start planning for your studies the following year. So it's a pretty rigorous, pretty lengthy process. But if you are successful in receiving the scholarship, I can assure you it will change your perspective on studying. And as a New Colombo Plan Scholarship recipient, it looks incredible on a resume. It looks incredible when you receive your transcript. And a lot of these students who do their internships in the Indo-Pacific region will finish with careers, will finish with jobs waiting for them. Okie dokie. So that is everything, all of the global experience programs broken down. Next, we're going to cover program costs, which I'm certain is a big concern for a lot of people. So with program costs, they do vary depending on the global experience program you are considering. In most instances, tuition fees are paid to JCU just like normal. So if you are deferring your fees to your Commonwealth supported loan or your HEX help loan, if you go on an exchange, you will not pay international tuition fees. You will pay the exact same fees that you have always done, and they'll defer onto your HEX. So realistically, it's like you're studying at JCU, you're just doing it from overseas. With that, it means really the only substantial costs for a global experience program are flights and visas, accommodation, cost of living, any additional fees that may be required, and any savings you may want to have for the trip. So as you can see here on the programs, depending on the location, flights can be different. Accommodation for most of our exchange programs will be very similar to if you were living on campus at JCU. So there would be like a weekly rent fee. Tuition paid to JCU like normal, and the mandatory fees include, any additional things that you might need to pay and submit. But there are multiple funding opportunities for students to take advantage of for financial assistance. And these can include the Oz Help Loan, which is deposited to your bank account and added onto your HEX Help Loan. I can tell you right now that those values listed on the PowerPoint are actually not correct. These were the values for 2023. They are always changing. For 2024, any student who is going to be conducting study in a non-Asian country are eligible. It's about 8,100 Australian dollars. And any student studying in an Asian country can receive up to $9,000, a little bit more actually. And if you want to pursue language training to get a bit of competency beforehand, you are eligible for an additional $1,500 loan to help pay for that. You are eligible to receive 2 Oz Help loans in your student lifetime, and they have to be within the span of 6 months. So if you are looking to go on an exchange for a full year, you are eligible for a loan in the first 6 months, and then once that 6 months has concluded, you can then get the loan for the next semester. New Colombo plan grants are available for the short mobility programs and occasionally for longer exchanges in the Indo-Pacific. So if you want to complete an exchange in a country like Fiji, Japan, South Korea, French Polynesia, you can receive a grant if we've got them, and it's normally up to $7,000. Like the NCP mobility programs, the grants you do not have to pay back. You are given that money to help you pay for the program. Location-based scholarships may be available for certain regions, as well as bring a friend scholarships for our short study programs. Sometimes our providers will offer fee reduction if you manage to bring a friend or refer someone. And lastly, if you are currently receiving or plan on receiving Centrelink payments while studying overseas, you can request that these be maintained by requesting a letter from our department. If you have been on Centrelink before and you have ever left Australia, you'll know that the payments are pretty much suspended the instant you leave the country. So this is something that would need to be organized beforehand, but all of our students who've ever applied for an exemption have been successful. But the Global Experience team can help you with any of your financial inquiries, so don't worry. We understand that the costs involved can be a major deterrent or a major deciding factor. So we can help break it down for you. In fact, as part of your application, your initial application, you have to do a program cost sheet. So it actually will help you visualize how much the program is going to cost you, including any additional funding support that you take. But it can help you determine whether or not a specific location or the program itself is worth it for you. I will also make a note that if you are currently receiving a fee reduction scholarship, so you are the recipient of a scholarship that is going to reduce your fees while you're here at JCU, that scholarship will be suspended for the period you complete an exchange or any other global experience. It will resume as soon as you return, but for the period you are not studying at JCU, you will be paying full tuition fees. So that is another thing I want to let you know, and I know it's particularly relevant to a lot of international students. With that being said, we've covered every global experience opportunity available to you as a JCU student, but you might still be asking or still considering, why should I go on a global experience? What's the point? What's the benefits? I'm studying here at JCU. Is that not good enough? Well, there are a lot of benefits to studying overseas. Not only do you get to travel and meet new people and experience a different culture, you can develop and acquire essential skills to make the most of your time after university. And you'll find that a lot of employers are starting to look for prospective employees with global experiences under their belt, for employees that understand the concept of globalization, who know how to interact with diverse cultures, and who have those foreign experiences that allow them to think outside of the box. A global experience looks excellent on a resume. It looks excellent when you have a transcript from multiple different universities that have all credited towards one another. So if you're looking at global experience as an opportunity to upskill, it's definitely something that you can pursue. So why not participate? It's an amazing part of your degree. Nearly every degree at JCU, nearly every undergraduate degree at JCU has the capacity to support a global experience. You'll not only receive credit towards your degree, you'll make some amazing memories and walk away with new skills and knowledge that you might never have had the chance to have otherwise. So if you want to know more about any of these amazing opportunities or where to begin, you can reach out to the Global Experience team at any time, and we'll be more than happy to help. We've got our contact details up on the screen there. That is the Global Experience mobile number. You are more than welcome to text that or ring that at any time if you would like more assistance or you have any questions you want an immediate answer to. Please note that it is only active during the university business hours between 9 and 4. That is our email there. You are more than welcome to send an inquiry through. If you do, I just recommend that you have your student ID included in the email so I can look you up. Please note that there can, depending on the time of year, there may be a wait time in between getting to your inquiries, as all global experiences or outbound programs is just handled by myself. So I will do my best to get to as many inquiries as possible. You can also go to the JCU Global Experience website. We just got it refreshed. It's brand new as of today, so feel free to go in and explore it. It not only breaks down all of our programs, but also includes detailed application instructions and new images from some of our recent experiences. And lastly, you can follow us on our Instagram at JCU Global Experience. It is our dominant method of social media marketing, in addition to the student bulletins. But the Instagram is where we will post photos of recent student trips, whether that be exchange, short study, or NCP. It is where we'll post notifications about when we're doing new programs, updates on scholarships, et cetera, et cetera. Additionally, if you go to the website, you can also book an appointment to speak with me. So if you want a more intimate one-on-one experience, you want to really go through all of your options, you are more than welcome to book an appointment with me. I do phone, Zoom, and face-to-face appointments. Face-to-face appointments are just for the Townsville students, I'm sorry, just because that is the campus that I'm based on. All other students are welcome to look at phone and Zoom options. But that is essentially the end of today's presentation. I want to say thank you so much for joining me. We really encourage students to start looking into global experiences as early as their first year, primarily because if you don't plan this early, what can happen and what has happened in the past is many students study their free electives in their first year or the beginning of their second year. They then come to see us and go, I want to go on an exchange in my third and final year. And we say, great, excellent. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for you. And then we go and look at their study plan, and it turns out that they've used up their opportunity, that we can't get them credit for their remaining subjects because they have to be done at JCU Australia. And then the student goes, oh, I didn't know that this was a thing. You know, if I had known this, I wouldn't have done it. Is there any way to undo it? And almost always it's unfortunately not possible. So I really encourage you to plan your studies around a global experience if you are wanting to do it, because if you plan in advance, it will ensure that you have a smooth transition process. Some things that you can do is I highly recommend getting a study plan from the enrollments team if you haven't already done so, because it will help advise you on what subjects you should study while on an exchange to ensure that your progression is not impacted. The one thing we do not want is we do not want you going on an exchange and then you return, find out you missed an important prerequisite subject, and now your degree's been extended a year because you've got to make up for it. We don't want that to happen, and unfortunately it has happened in the past. So getting a study plan from enrollments will automatically make your life so much easier. The second thing I recommend is, in addition to meeting with me, and I highly recommend you meet with me first, but in addition to that, speaking with your course coordinator. If you speak with your course coordinator in advance, it will make your life so much easier, because they're the staff member who is going to sign off on what subjects you study. So the earlier you get them involved in the process, not only will it make it easier to reach out to them when you need to say, hey, can you follow up on this? Or hey, have you had any more time to think about this? But it might help them understand what you're wanting to do, and they may be able to help you with some recommendations on subject equivalencies. And the third thing I would say when it comes to a global experience, and this is probably more relevant to the exchange and the international short study programs, but while the study component of it is important, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. You definitely want to make sure that you're doing well while you're studying overseas. I want you to look at the experience first. I want you to think about where you want to go, not just because it'll be great for your degree, but where do you want to have a fun experience? Where are you going to have the most fun, make the most connections, experience something completely different? That is what I want you to think about, because the study will fall into place. We will make the study credits work, but you need to ensure that you are going to somewhere that you are going to actually love. I don't want you to think that you've got to go to this specific location because that's what your degree needs and have a terrible time. It's not a holiday, but the experience of studying outside of the familiar is more important than sitting in a dorm room and studying constantly and struggling. So don't lock yourself in a box and think you only have to go to a particular location. Think outside the box. Think beyond the scope. Think about the fun, because that's what these programs are all about. The fun comes first, the experiences are what's there, and then the study will naturally fall into place. Other things I'll sort of let you know as well, if you're curious, with an exchange and an international short study program, your GPA is not impacted. So the studies that you do overseas, while they will credit towards your degree here at JCU, your GPA won't be impacted. So if you achieve top marks over there, or hypothetically, if you were to fail everything, it does not impact your GPA at JCU. All it means is that whatever you pass over there will mean you have less subjects to do at JCU. So the one thing I note with that is that if you are looking to get into an honors program or a postgrad program that has a very specific GPA requirement, under normal circumstances, that will not be, your exchange studies will not be considered in that assessment, but can be if necessary, especially if it's like, if this is considered, I'll have met the GPA. But I think I've done enough talking. We've gone for about 45 minutes. Thank you once again for attending. I really do appreciate it. I am going to jump back to this check-in screen. So if you haven't done it already, I would really appreciate if you check in just to say that you registered to show that you attended. And so you can go into the draw to win a gift card because free money. And I will linger here until 3 o'clock for any follow-up questions. Just as a reminder, this is recorded and I will try and have the recording uploaded to our YouTube channel at some point. So feel free to check that out in the next couple of days in case you want to refer back for any further information. Let's see what we've got here. Lauren, are veterinary science students eligible for the new Colombo Plan scholarship? As of right now, the answer is no. And the reason for that is because your veterinary science students are not allowed to complete exchange studies due to their accreditation. You have to do your subjects based in Australia in order to ensure that when you graduate, you can be professionally recognized as an exchange, as a veterinarian. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce the word. So right now, JCU cannot nominate veterinary science students for the new Colombo Plan scholarship. However, in terms of global experiences, in 5th and 6th year of the degree, maybe it's 4th and 5th, I forget how many years vet science actually is, but in the last 2 years of the degree, the course coordinator actually does placement in the Indo-Pacific as part of an NCP program. So we've had students go to Thailand for aviary, so bird-related placement. And then I believe there was students who went to Thailand as well for I think it was cows. I could be wrong on that one, but they do two, one in the second last year and one in the final year. So you are eligible to go on that as part of a new Colombo Plan program, but as for the scholarship, unfortunately not. Too easy. Thank you for asking. Other things I'll just go over in case anyone is a little shy. In terms of eligible courses, there are courses that are better suited for an exchange because of their flexibility. So Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of Science are probably the top 3 courses to go on an exchange because you have the most flexibility in terms of core and electives. If you do double majors, it can be a little tricky because you lose the electives, but it's not impossible. I highly recommend students use their electives on an exchange because it gives you the most freedom. You can pretty much study whatever you want as long as the course coordinator is okay with it. And the best time to go on an exchange under normal circumstances is usually the second half of your second year, because most degrees design that study period to be the most flexible. You normally are only required to do 1 core subject and 3 electives under normal circumstances. That can change, but that's kind of the best time of year to go for some degrees. You are absolutely more than welcome to go in 3rd year. You can finish your degree on an exchange and a global experience. It's just if you choose to do that, you would not be eligible for the Oz Help Loan. You have to have at least 1 subject remaining in Australia to be eligible to receive the loan. Bachelor of Law students are definitely able to go on an exchange, but can only do 3 subjects from their list 2 elective line. The reason that is because of the LAPB accreditation. I always get that acronym wrong. And any courses with professional accreditation, we have to be careful with, but we can work with you to figure out if the program will work for you. If you are in one of like the top degrees, so I can pretty much tell you Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery, Bachelor of Dentistry, Bachelor of Veterinary Science, Bachelor of Pharmacy, Bachelor of Physiotherapy, Sports Exercise Science, all of those, pretty much all the College of Healthcare Sciences and the College of Medicine and Dentistry courses can't do an exchange, I'm sorry. just because of accreditation and because most of our partner universities will not let exchange students study their medicine and health science subjects. Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery students get a free elective in their third year. Bachelor of Nursing Science students also get a free elective in their third year. So you are very strongly encouraged to go on an international short study program as part of that structure. For those students, if any of those are in attendance or watching this recording, you should start planning that as early as the second half of your second year, and your course coordinator will normally talk to you about them, and we will get you to apply. The reason we get you to prepare for it by then is so that we can ensure the program dates will not interfere with your upcoming placement. So placement will always have to come first. So we make sure that the program you go on will not impact that to a degree. If you have received a Vice Chancellor's scholarship, will you lose it on exchange, and will you be able to get a scholarship without losing it? So if the correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Vice Chancellor's scholarship is a fee reduction scholarship. So it means that instead of paying the full tuition fees, you're paying it at a reduced rate. If that is the case, you don't lose it, but it is suspended for the period that you are on an exchange. So if you decide to go on an exchange just for a semester, for that semester you are overseas, you will pay JCU's full tuition fees for the subject. And when you return, the scholarship will resume as per normal. So just because you are studying at a different university, because you're technically not actively studying at JCU in that exchange period, the scholarship unfortunately will not be in effect for that period. And will you be able to get a scholarship without losing it? If you are the recipient of a scholarship where a lump sum was paid to you, then that's fine. You are not impacted in any way because it's gone directly into your bank account. And there are some scholarships that students can be eligible for from that respective university that can potentially make up for that. In addition, our team is working on implementing further scholarships and finding further funding support opportunities. But if that's something you want to discuss, you're more than welcome to reach out to us about the specific circumstances surrounding your scholarship, and we can figure out what is the best opportunity for you. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else urgent I need you to know. No, you're all welcome, Jonathan. Oh yes. This is related to exchange. Most of this stuff is related to exchange. So I do apologize if you were after information about any of the other programs, but exchange is sort of the main one we offer. If you are an Australian student, you can pretty much go wherever you want as long as it fits your course structure. If you are an international student, you are more than welcome to go on exchange. You are not exempt from it. You can participate in an exchange program. You just can't go to your home country. So you have to go on an exchange to somewhere other than your home country. Similar rules apply for Australian students who might have either a dual citizenship or multiple passports. I'll use this example. We have a student who has an Australian passport and a British passport and wants to go on an exchange to the UK. They are more than welcome to do so, but they have to do it under their Australian passport. Can't do it under the British passport, and that's just because of subject fees. Additional things, you cannot study externally with JCU while you're on an exchange. So what I mean by that is if you're say you've got to do an intensive when you return from an exchange, but you're still going to be overseas, you can't be studying at that host institution and then also enroll in an external subject at JCU. If you do that, you're not eligible for the AusHelp loan anymore. Can't do that. And also JCU will not allow you to do that. So essentially, if you have to toss up between those two options, it's either study overseas or study at JCU. You can't do both. If you are a trimester student, which I imagine some of you may be, or some of you eventually will be as more degrees transition to trimesters, please be aware that there are date overlaps. So for an exchange, we go off of the traditional semester calendars. So how that would work for trimester students is you could do trimester 1 and 2 here at JCU, go on an exchange for that exchange semester, and then that exchange semester will predominantly overlap with trimester 3 and trimester 1 the following year, meaning that when you've completed your exchange, you'll be ready to return in trimester 2 of the following year. Similarly, if you wanted to go on an exchange at the beginning of the year, that could impact your eligibility for trimester 1 and trimester 2, meaning that you would be looking to return in trimester 3. We would endeavour to ensure that you apply for a program that will work best with your dates, but we will do our best in that regard. But that's why it's encouraged for a lot of trimester students to go to Singapore, because the dates are the same. But look, we're 3 minutes out. If no one has any more questions, I'm more than happy to end this. If you have a question but you don't want to ask it in this space, I totally understand. Please instead direct your questions to our email, which I'll bring back up onto the screen here. I'm based on the Townsville campus in Building 29, which is just above Education Central. So if you ever are on campus and you just want to pop in and ask about your eligibility, you're more than welcome to pop in, ring the doorbell for our building and ask to speak with Global Experience. I'm more than happy to speak to you about your opportunities. I'm really passionate about ensuring that our students can study overseas. I did my degree here at JCU. I graduated last year and I did it all online. And I had no clue that this was a possibility. And so I kind of very much regret not being able to take advantage of this opportunity myself. I've actually never traveled overseas. I've been in Australia my whole life. So I kind of like to live vicariously through all of our other students. But I want to ensure that you are made aware of every opportunity available, and I want you to take advantage of them if you can. And I will do whatever I can to make sure that it's as easy and smooth a process for you. If you are curious, the next application round will open in May. It will be May 1st to July 31st, and that will be for study period 1 of next year, so the first half of next year. If you are a first-year student right now, and will be entering your second year, you are more than welcome to apply. I look at eligibility criteria from an kind of like an honesty perspective or an honesty system. So if it looks like you're going to meet the eligibility criteria by the time of your intended exchange, I will let you apply. So if you want to go as early as the beginning of your second year, you're more than welcome to apply. Notifications of the applications will be released via the student bulletin, so keep an eye on them in your JCU student email, but also follow us on our Instagram because we will post updates there. With that, thank you very much for attending today's session. I really appreciate it. There will be more of these sessions scheduled throughout the next few weeks. There will be at least one on-campus session a week and one Zoom session on a Friday. So if you had any further questions, you're more than welcome to pop into those and we can address them there. Otherwise, I want to wish everyone a wonderful weekend. I hope you enjoy your time, especially as we're about to start study period 1, if that is you. As for our trimester students, I hope you're doing okay. I understand that it's prime assessment time, or is about to be prime assessment time. So please take care of yourselves. Take advantage of JCU Student Support Services if you haven't already. And please let us know if there is anything else we can do for you in the future to help make your studying experience at JCU and abroad any better. Alrighty. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. Bye.